Hey everyone, it's Blair here from Time Trades. Hope everyone's doing well and you're having a great weekend. Wanted to get a quick video out just to update everyone on the latest interpretation of the Time Trades forecast so you guys can follow along at home and hopefully make some profitable trades. Okay, so I think the focus for the last few weeks has been Bitcoin as it grinds sideways. Looks like with the events of late today, it's starting to end that sideways grind. The Time Trades forecast from last week was very accurate in terms of predicting one more wave down here, and it got that. It wasn't quite as violent as the prior pushes down that we've seen in the other black periods. So let me just take a step back and remind everyone how I look at the Time Trades forecast. Almost always I have Gann waves on, and I use that as a way to establish the context of the price action that I'm looking at. And then what I tend to do is I compare like to like. So we've got black periods after yellow, black periods after purple, and then we've got the yellow and purple periods in between, okay? And it's very informative to look at it in this way because you can stay on top of the changing tone and changing overall regime of the market. And if you look closely enough, you can kind of detect some trend changes. And we're starting to see that here with this black period after yellow. And for a lot of these black periods after yellow, as we went through this long basing time, we would see a spike down at the end of it. Black period after yellow, here we got 2 spikes down. This one, we got 1. And for the last 2 black periods, there have been no spikes down. So that's a subtle change, indicates maybe a little bit less fear in the marketplace and a little bit more accumulation, dips getting steadily bought. Also, just anecdotally, I certainly noticed there was a ton of bearish sentiment in my feed. And that's something I like to pick up on as well, because I hate crowded trades. Crowded trades always blow up in my face. It felt like the whole crypto universe was getting bearish last week. So all of that has set the stage for a very nice and very rapid move up. And that's what we're seeing here on Sunday night. That was predicted in last week's video. The predicted probabilities of a move up were relatively high right here between the 25th, 26th, 27th in that range. So that's what we're seeing. And we're heading up into a predicted high here. We've got a 20% probability of a pivot high on the 29th. So full disclosure, I'm currently long Bitcoin indirectly through miners. And I do plan to sell into this predicted pivot high. And then the next big forecast coming up is this 20% probability of a pivot low on August 2nd, okay? And that is coming at the end of another black period just before yellow. Now, again, we don't know where price is gonna be on this. Time Trades does not predict price, it predicts time. So this is a good buying opportunity here to re-enter lower. So if you're looking at this, if you're not long right now, I would not get fear of missing out. Don't FOMO buy this tomorrow. Take your time, be patient, wait for this pullback in August. Again, I don't know what the price is going to be, but odds are you're going to be chasing it up here in the next few days. And it looks like there's going to be a pullback in the near-term future. Now, one of the things that you can notice here about these yellow periods is yellow periods tend to have the biggest moves. So when we look back in time, just look at the big moves that tend to happen in yellow periods. And again, this is how I tend to use Time Trades, break it up into chunks of time with similar behaviors. And I look at this up here, and yes, this is the probability of a decline. And we've got some small probabilities of a decline up here in early August after this low. Now, that's not totally logical, is it? We would expect to see a period of predicted moves up coming out of a low. So this might be another prediction that inverts. We might see these bars shift and come down over time, because remember, the time trades predictions are updated every day with new market information, okay? Or the market may just ignore these forecast bars and just do its own thing and go up. But it looks like right now, the path of least resistance for Bitcoin is now up. When there is ambiguity between pivot highs and the inner two swim lanes, which are the probabilities of moves down and the probabilities of moves up, when there's ambiguity between them, I trust the pivot lows and pivot highs, because in the machine learning training, these come out with higher accuracy rates than the moves up and moves down. So whenever you're interpreting time trades and you see something ambiguous that doesn't quite make sense, put your faith in the pivot lows and use that as the basis for your timing. So we can almost see a little bit of ping pong going on here with projected pivot high, July 29th, projected low, August 2nd. The next big projected high is 51% in September 4th. And this, again, I don't know where price is going to be here, but the first thing that I notice is that from this time period to this time period includes two yellow Gann waves. And again, those yellow Gann waves are where we see the biggest moves. Okay, so looks like, you know, it might be too early to say the bottom is in, but it very well might be. We'll know in hindsight, but the tone of the Bitcoin charts definitely changed. We've got a massive rally going on right now. We're challenging 40K right now. Remember, time trades uses end of day data, so it's not reflecting that in the current price, but we know we're right up here at 40K. Pretty much at the midway point between these 24 lines, these two orange 24 lines. There's one at 43.2 and the other at 36. And the midpoint tends to be another area of resistance. And we can see historically it's been resistance over here in mid-June and over here in late May. All right, so that's about all I got to say on Bitcoin. Let's take a quick look on the QQQs. We'll see if we can make sense of what's going on there. Okay, so on the NASDAQ, it's a little bit harder to interpret this chart. I'm just going to go to Wheel of 24 here and clean this up a little bit. Turn off the south node, turn on 24 lines. It's kind of how I like to look at it. And in this case, I'm also going to turn on the juice indicator, because the juice indicator is a leading indicator of solar activity. And for the first time in a while, juice has been pretty quiet. That's why I haven't talked about it in a while. But we're getting a juice spike here coming up tomorrow, Monday, July 26th. And that tends to inject some volatility and some energy in the market. And you can go back in time and see how juice spikes actually tend to, they have a tendency to halt downtrends and turn them around. You can see how that happens here. So in this case, there is no downtrend. We're back into up only mode in the NASDAQ. This combined with some of the earnings releases coming up early next week on the NASDAQ may turn out to pump the market even higher. So from a time trades forecast perspective, the next biggest forecast that we see here is a 17% pivot low on August 2nd. Now that might be stepping in front of a freight train, trying to take a short position around that. but it may make sense to kind of sell the news as we get all of the earnings this week happening this week. I haven't had a good success rate personally trading single digit predictions of pivots. So these things like 6% pivot highs, 9% pivot highs, I haven't really been able personally to trade those successfully. So this may be a period in time right here where, you know, we just trade price and watch the volume and keep those stops tight. We've got a juice spike coming up. The next major event is a pivot low on August 2nd, just before that yellow Gann wave period. So I think a little bit of caution is warranted here on the NASDAQ. Even though we're at all-time highs, the breadth is pretty bad. It's really being driven by a narrow set of stocks. So I would keep that in mind, and all it takes is one or two bad earnings reports and the market can fall apart. So that's my take on the NASDAQ as well as Bitcoin.